Hey everyone, it's Stephen GetMoneyMyrick here, and in today's video I'm going to be discussing whether Mihm cheese still makes sense in 2021. If you aren't aware, the idea of Mihm cheese is using Mihm's passive ability that when a hero dies, he does damage to the enemy teams. And so it used to be a very popular PvP strategy to get 2 Mihms, have some heroes die, and you could do a ton of damage and just wipe out the enemy team. And for a while, it was used in IDA and it was used in Guild Wars. And I have 2 Mihms on one account and 1 Mihm on another account. And I'm just curious if they really still hold up and whether or not it still makes sense to be building Mihm. So I'm going to be giving my thoughts about Mihm and when you should or shouldn't be building him. I'm also going to be doing a lot of testing with Mihm lineups. I've gone in and set my PvP lineups with some Mihm teams, just to get an idea of what Mihm is still capable of doing. Before I go any further, I did want to say that if you're not subscribed to my channel, please consider subscribing. I'd really appreciate it. But with that, let's go ahead and check out these Mihm lineups and talk about where Mihm makes sense. A few things I wanted to get out of the way right at the start of the video. One is that I only have an account with 2 Mihms on one account and 1 Mihm on another account. So I can't be doing any testing whatsoever on an account with more than 2 Mihms. I'm also going to be really focusing on using Mihm as a cheese strat, which means I'm not going to be imprinting him up to V4 to see what he's capable of. But along with that, I'm not going to be testing him against, V4 Sword Flash Zias or V3 Haloras. You know what? I'll test him. I'll see how it goes. But I can expect how it's going to go, which is he's not going to be able to hold the flame to them. So the reality is we're looking at when can an E5 Mihm make up for any other single E5 hero without imprints, or 2 E5 Mihms, how much damage can they do? You also have to think about which game modes you plan on using your Mihms in. For Guild War, it could be a solid attack team on one base if you want to use a 1 Mihm attack team. You also could use them as a defense lineup in Guild War, specifically if you don't have 30 E5s already. If you're an account that already has 30 E5s, probably doesn't make sense to be using Mihm cheese on defense, because where you're really getting that bang for the buck on Mihm cheese is being able to use 1 or 2 E5s to take out possibly 2-3 E5s. So concentrating on that and understanding that, if it's just for PvP reasons, or if you have more than 30 E5s, which are, all 10 of you watching this video, obviously it's not going to make sense there. Now within IDA, possibly a 5th lineup for you, possibly one of your 10 lineups if you make it into Maverick and make it into the champions, because a big thing with Mihm is that almost always he's going to leave the team with less health than what they started out with. So he'll always do some damage, which means he also has value within Ace Championship, because you can put him in lineups and he's at least going to lower the health of the team he's going up against and not heal them at all. So those are all good reasons why you might build Mihm. The question is whether or not he actually does anything. In order to test that, I'm going to be going up against a few different Mihm lineups, testing out a few different E5 heroes against him, and seeing what we can do. I want to start by talking about Garuda, because if you're not aware, Garuda is the bane of existence to any Mihm cheese team, and that's specifically because of her passive. Whenever a hero on the battlefield dies, restores self by 30% max HP and gains 2 layers of Feather Blade. But specifically, it's the fact that she heals HP when heroes die. So Mihm wants our heroes to be dying, right? Because whenever a hero on the battlefield dies, it deals damage to all enemies for 2 rounds. But Garuda, she gets HP when enemies die. So I'm going to give a quick example here of what that looks like when you fight against a Mihm and why you don't want to do it, and what you should be keeping in mind while doing that. So I'm just going to use a Garuda here. I think I've got her built a little tanky, and I'm just going to use some 5 stars. And we can see how this goes. I've equipped some gear on these 5 stars, just like base gear, like you might do in a Guild Wars situation. And what you can really take away from this is when you are doing Guild Wars, and if you have a Mihm on attack, you want to be looking for bases that don't have Garudas. If you're against a lot of bases where there's a single Garuda, those are wins that you're not going to be able to get. Because Garuda is just going to keep healing herself up, and she's just not going to die, and she's not going to take damage here. So Garuda destroys Mihm, and so if you're looking for Guild War purposes, do not go against a Garuda. Next, we're going to start by fighting against a single Mihm lineup. I think Mihm really shines when you have 2 of them and can really do a lot more damage. And so we are actually fighting against a Mihm lineup I set here. You can tell it's not ideal, because an ideal Mihm cheese lineup would have some 10-star Emily's and some 9-star destroyers. But again, once you start kind of building food and putting it into your lineup, Mihm is not as cheesy, and you're not getting as much bang you know, the Mihm value there. Basically, like, you're using resources to make your Mihm team strong. Now, granted, he does do more damage, and maybe he can wipe out more teams, but this is what I got, and it's what we're testing against. So, going up against this lineup, what if we took out that Garuda that we used from before, and let's just say we use a single carry. Let's see how that goes. So you can see we got some damage here, and Carrie's taking some damage, but she might still do this because our Mihm is low in health here. No, I think we're going to win. So there's 1-5. We'll go ahead and skip another one. So that's just, you know, this debate between if you could send and we lost again. So if you could send a single, you know, dark hero, Carrie's probably one of the more popular heroes you can do against just a cheese team. You know, it's not working out. What if we add a second carry to the lineup here? What if we had 2 E5 carries? Can Mihm kill this team? I doubt it, but maybe I'm going to be surprised here. I think the carries just do too much damage. Yeah. Now you can see the carries got very low here. So possibly if you had some 10-star Emily's and some 9-star destroyers, and we'll go ahead and watch this one more time, you know, possibly could take out 2 carries, which is one of these decisions. And this is 1 E5, right, against 2 E5s. And here, it looks like we may win this, actually. No, we're not going to win. She came back. But close, very close. What if you swapped out one of those carries and put in a... what somebody would use? Like, what if we did, like, Belrain and Russell? Like, which would maybe be a classic team you might send in Guild War, like 1 damage dealer and 1 somebody that does attack. Like, can my Mihm take this out? I will say this Mihm, you know, does not have the best stone on him. He doesn't have resonance gear. He's just a simple, like, attack-based Mihm. And you can see we're not going to quite get it, unfortunately. Do want to go ahead here and just try like a V3 Halora. I know how this is going to go, but I want to just go ahead and show what it looks like just so we can see that this is an area where Mihm does not necessarily compete, which is when the hero has imprints, right? But even then, you can see he does do damage to her, which is helpful for Ace Championship, but is not going to be able to take out any strong, you know, Transcendence imprinted heroes. But she did lose health, which is something, right? And wiped out, you know, some of her support heroes as well. So still did a healthy amount there. But it does seem like the more I do testing here, a single Mihm is typically not going to be able to be beating 2 E5 heroes. Whereas if it's going up against 1 E5 hero, the single Mihm definitely has a chance, and specifically has been winning more often than not. So when you're evaluating the value of a single E5 Mihm, I would say you're looking at, you know, I'm beating any team that has a bunch of 10-star heroes, which is not necessarily super impressive, but I am also taking out most teams that have a single E5, which is, you know, you're getting more for that 1 E5 than you would if you built any other E5. So now we're going to switch it up a little bit, and I'm going to find my team that has 2 E5 Mims, which is this team right here. Hey, collect my hearts for me. And we'll take a quick look at the lineup. So here I just have some 5-star Michelles and a 6-star Destroyer. So no Emily's whatsoever at all. So again, not an optimized Mim lineup, which I would say would be, again, 2 10-star Emily's, 2 9-star Destroyers, and maybe a single and then 2 Mims. But let's go ahead and start with 1 E5 hero and just see how that goes. See how that plays out. Obviously, we would expect to get a win here based on how the other stuff was going. But I just wanted to kind of show it off and see how much damage it does. And make sure that we actually secure the win here. Yeah, so very easily get the win here. So my guess is going to be, you know what I want to see? Let's go ahead and test with a V4 Halora. Let's try a V4 Halora and see how this goes. No. You know, not the worst. And we also got like some random petrifies and stuns and all sorts of things on her. So we're probably not going to win, but honestly, not a bad showing, right? A single, like a V4 Transcendence hero against 2 Mims. What if we get like a V3 hero instead? What if we put in, do I have anybody? Like a Fiona, like a V3 Fiona. Let's see what we got going on here. And just basically you're looking at the damage output that the Mims are doing, you know? And definitely, yeah, taking out a V3 Fiona. So we have our 2E5 Mims beating a single V3 Fiona. What if we try just 2 carries here? And that's kind of it's not a realistic comparison, but you know, it's like you could build 2 E5 carries or you could build 2 E5 Mims, right? They're the same amount of dark food. And copies of Mims are easier to come by. Now, granted, I would rather have my carry copies, at least a few of them. But you know, what about your 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th carry copies? Obviously, carry can go in a lineup and provide support there and do lots of good things, but you can see that clearly the Mims are just destroying the double carry lineup here. So obviously, double carry isn't necessarily the best PvP lineup that you might be sending in a guild war. You know, what about like Amon-Ra, Russell? Like, how does that do? So here we got Amon-Ra and Russell, and you can see we've got the energy out there. I'm guessing this isn't going to go well for us. I'm guessing that the Russ is just going to be able to wipe the whole team here before we can actually do enough damage. But we will see. Yeah, so, I mean, got him very low, but did not. Oh! You know, actually pretty dang close. Now, I think our Michelle's here may still lose to the carry. No, we got it. Very cool. Very cool. So, again, that's still 2 E5 heroes against 2 E5 heroes, neither of which have imprints. They did lose both times. What about if we threw in a 3rd E5 hero? What about if we threw in a carry and a rogue in here? How does that perform? You can see this is actually easier. This is almost easier because like the Rogan is actually like killing a hero, which is like causing all of our stuff to trigger sooner. But just smoking that lineup, holy cow. So that's 2 E5s against 3 E5s, and one of those E5s has imprints on them. What about if we threw in another E5 here? What if we threw in a Drake? I think the results are going to be the same, right? I think we're just going to be doing enough damage to kill these teams. Whether it's a Drake, whether it's a carry, whether it's a Rogan, we're just going to be doing the damage, right? Yeah. So pretty nuts there. And that's where you're getting, you know, the benefit of the Mim cheese. What about if we did a full team of 6? What about if we did like, I don't want to get like too crazy, but like this team. All right. Wow. So that honestly makes me happy. That makes me feel like my Mims are still getting value for me, specifically on like defense in Guild Wars and also on attack in Guild Wars, you know, in the lineups that we're able to take out. Am I going to be able to take out a lineup with a Halora in it? No. But that was, you know, 5 E5s and E4 as well as some imprints. What if we got like an Amon-Ra in here though to really like tank it up? What if we did like a real lineup? I don't want to go like too crazy. Like I know this won't work. But what if we did like this as a lineup? I know if we put the Sherlock in, it's not going to work. And we're specifically just looking at like the damage we do here, right? Quite a lot of damage, but didn't win, right? And I don't think we're going to get the win here. But it is just interesting to see what it's capable of doing and the damage it's putting out. So obviously Mim cheese is nothing new. It was just a question I had, like, is it worth it? And clearly it's still getting some, I'm going to keep saying it, bang for its buck. Yeah, I mean, that's the really nice thing, right? Is it has more to do with the health that the champions have than the number of E5s they have. So even if there's multiple E5s, like if they're low health champions, there's the potential that your 2 E5 Mims are going to be able to take them out. Now, again, obviously, V4 Swordflash Zia, V4 Halora, this isn't going to work, right? They're going to be tanky enough and survive. It's not going to work against Garuda, but this is pretty impressive, honestly. I'll take a quick moment at the end of the video here just to talk about the build that we used. So all of our Mims were split attack. This one had attack Taxstone with a Kiss of Ghost. This one had attack Taxstone with a Antlers Cane. Basically, you're just trying to maximize that attack because you're really trying to get the most bang. I keep saying bang for the buck. Most value out of this passive skill right here when heroes die. So I hope you found this video helpful. It definitely, you know, was very clear to me like the value that you still get off of Mim because Yeah, if you have copies to convert a Mihm to a carry and you don't have a carry, or maybe you don't have a second carry, like, should you have those carries? Absolutely. Carry is a great, great hero, super helpful. But, you know, it's like how much, like 2 E5s there, we're taking out teams with 6 E5s. Now, granted, if there's imprinted heroes, one of the heroes is still going to be left alive. So if you're going against a team with, you know, a V3, V4 heroes, not going to be able to wipe them out, but they're doing damage as well. And I really think they still do have a place. You just have to be aware of where they are. And again, if you had 30 E5 heroes, probably doesn't make sense to be using them. But except for in like IDA when you have a lineup of 10. But I really just wanted to like run through these situations more for myself than anything and like make sure does Mihm cheese still work in 2021? And I think the answer is yes. Like, I think there definitely is value to it. I think you can have one in there in a Guild War attack lineup and get a lot of wins out of it compared to pretty much any other E5. And especially if you have the ability to get 2, you're going to be able to do enough damage to wipe out a lot of teams. So he's getting easier to get copies of. Obviously, he's dark food. But yeah, honestly, I was impressed. So let me know in the comments below what you thought about the Mihm cheese, if there was anything else I should have tried. And I will see you on my next video. Bye.